We're here.
How we looking?
No, don't. Oh, there you go. We have started. Somebody clicked the button before it was time. Somebody did it.
Wasn't me. I was about.
I don't know who it was. Somebody knew. Must have been
Irene, Raphael.
I was on the phone.
Connected.
Dr.
All right.
Raphael, good morning, my friend.
Good morning, sir.
All right. So if somebody else, all the rest of you guys want to pay attention to the chat while we're doing this, I'm running from my remote facility. Ladies and gentlemen, behind me, that is Key West. So
Very nice.
I am proving that I can operate from anywhere in the United States without any hesitation. But if all of a sudden this goes nuts and doesn't work, well, then we get there. We have Catherine Lucas. You raised your hand, Catherine. Was that on purpose? I just unmutified you. Catherine, you there? Catherine Lucas? Catherine Lucas?
20 people
Probably
go and
doesn't
put where you're
actually-
from in the chat. Hey, Tammy from Michigan.
There we
Come
go.
on in and let us know where you're dialing in from.
Let's see who else is here. Did we get, where's Greg? Where's Greg? Greg Cluck. I don't know. He'll be here in a minute. Well, we'll get cooking. So the question is today, first of all, where are you from? And what is your New Year's resolution? It doesn't have to be business oriented. If you don't want to be business oriented, put that in the chat. So where are you from and what is your New Year's resolution? And we'll keep cooking in just a minute. We got a bunch of things that we got on store for you today. And I'm testing new stuff. Got my remote set up here, so we'll see how that works. 24 people so far. I think we have at least 50 new people signed up for this in the past couple days. So hopefully we get folks turned out. And by the way, I will also open it up to you if you would like to ask a question. This will be the best briefing ever. Put that in the Q&A down there, and we will we'll do our best to be able to hit that. As part of this, it'll be the best briefing, best session ever. All right, who we got? Let's see. We got from
Jay Talbot, Arizona.
all right. Jay Talbot, you got the link. He was pinging me this morning.
Yeah,
Back in Arizona, Sacramento. Jay's a good guy. Delphus, win the Mega Million. If that's somebody needs a better retirement plan, Dalpha. Peter Timbers, Solomon's Island, Maryland. Derek from Alameda, California. My New Year's resolution is grow my business. Derek, that sounds good. Tamra, positivity is key to my success in 2023. So that's my goal. Stay positive. Awesome. Love that. Dalpha, actually to lead my company to great opportunities. Love that one, Dalpha. That's a much better one to win the Mega Millions. I'm just kidding you. All right, Jessio. From San Jose, Costa Rica. Love it. All right. So where are you coming from? Number one, and what's your New Year's resolution? Doesn't have to be business oriented. Mine has to deal with life balance. So I want to figure out how I don't have to be quite as crazy as I've been the past few years. Mark Allen from Lake Forest, Illinois. Welcome. Reestablish my business after Kabul. What happened there, Jessio? Let us know. All right, fantastic. Put that in there. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get cooking. We got a lot to take care of today, but the question of the day is, where are you from and where's your New Year's resolution? And if you have any questions, you can pop them into the Q&A portion. We'll get the last one there. Let's see. Stuart Reeves from Phoenix. Love it, Stuart. Welcome. Welcome. Guess what? Happy New Year again, 2023. You know why I'm saying that again? Why am I saying that? Because we've already had a new year, and that was October 1st. What was October 1st? Rafael Marrero. He has to unmute himself.
New fiscal year. Woo!
That's right. There you go. Stole the show.
Well, you didn't ask on me. Nobody was saying anything.
I know, because Rafael had his
New fiscal year. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Awesome. We can hear you now. Awesome. So, and we're hoping Greg Clark actually makes it in here. I'm not sure what his deal is right now, but there you go. So what just happened? We just had Q1. Q1 is done. We were operating under continuing resolution and still the government spent over 38 billion. That's billion for Rafael Marrero. Billion.
Billions.
Billions. Now we have 1.7 trillion. So think about it. Think about it this way. Let's put a reframe on this. They spent 38 billion in Q1. They have 1.7 trillion to spend. Hey, now that's 1.7 trillion is 1,700 billion, right? So that's what we have. So what do they need to do? They need to spend it all by 9/30/2023, just like they did in 2022. And I will direct you to samradar.com, who is one of the sponsors here, happens to be somebody else that I happen to know real well. But if you go to samradar.com, go to menu on resources, and you can download the free fiscal year spending report for the past quarter. They did that for you so that you know exactly what's happening. And this is why we're here, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at this, the top ones, the number of offers received, no competition for 44% of the dollars. Let that sink in for a second. The rest of these are shortlisted. If you take a look at all of the money spent, 90% of the money spent was competed between 5 or fewer offers received. That means that you need a way to be shortlisted, and samradar.com is one of those ways. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I know there's a bunch of folks here that are on SamRadar already, so we welcome you to chime in if you'd like to. So now what do? Q4 started last week. That's right, January 1, beginning of that. So the questions for today for the panel, everybody is going to be on the hot seat, including Irene, which we will introduce to you in just a minute. She's a newbie. Right into the fire we throw Irene. So here we go. What do buyers need for my company to be one of the 5 on the short list? We just showed it. You have to be one of the 5 on the short list, or you're just doing RFPs and all the rest of the stuff and churning and losing. What you need to do is you need to be on the short list. So what do buyers need from your company to be one of the 5 on the short list? And the second one is, what is a GSA contract, and should I get one? And then what do you do after you get one? So that's part of the process here that we want to answer. And the third is, what step can I take to get in the front door so I can sell my company and our product to the federal government? And that's why the folks are here today. We're going to help you understand those things, number one, but we also want your insight and input. If you are doing something that's successful, we want to hear about it, and we want to share it with everybody so that they can help. And that means you can participate. It's easy to do. You can go right here and you can pop in the chat, and that's where we're going to share links and the docs. And then we have questions. If you can raise your hand, because we got, how many folks we got? We got 91 people. So here's the deal. Don't put your questions in the chat because you're going to get lost in the rest of the noise potentially. So raise your hand or pop it in the Q&A. If you have a microphone, raise your hand. If not, pop it in the Q&A, and we will do our best to be able to answer that. Won't we, Rafa, Sally, Peter, and Irene?
Yes, we will. And can you make it so we can see beautiful, fabulous Irene? Her video needs to come on.
There we go. Do we have Greg
I
Clark?
don't have access to start the video.
You don't have
I need
access.
access also.
All right, you need access. Hold on. We
And
got
Greg's
Greg
in the
Clark
house.
here.
We've been calling for you, Greg.
Greg Clark is in the house. All right, you should
Morning,
both
Greg.
you both have the ability to share your video now. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. There he is, Greg Clark. So real quick,
Yeah.
you still good there, Irene?
Nope, says video because the host has stopped it.
All right. Now I made you a co-host again. So don't unco-host yourself.
Gotcha.
Are you there?
Yes.
Can you make it? Let's see it
Yep,
work.
here we go.
Oh, no way. Look at that.
There
She
she
is
is.
alive. It is real. She's real. All right. A quick disclaimer. This event is not affiliated by GSA or anybody else. It doesn't mean you're going to win an award, but it does help you get there. It doesn't guarantee an award. For all the Govies, if there's any Govies here today, in order for you to participate with us, you have to know it's not an indication or endorsement or commitment to purchase from any vendor. That comes directly from GSA, so that you guys know. So with that, we will be connecting you with experts. Everybody on here is an expert in some form or fashion, And we'll be discussing what works and highlighting some of the sponsors and partners who are here. And if you want to stick around for a little bit, we'll show you a little bit about samradar.com. That'll be after the presentation, but we will get into this. So what is the reason why you are here today? Are you here today because you're new to federal contracting? You have federal contracts as a subcontractor and you want to grow? Or were you one of the 116,501 who won in 2022 and you want to grow? Or some nut sent you an email? And don't you dare talk about the nut that sent you an email, because I know who that nut is. And it wasn't even Rafael Marrero. So with that, you will get some links in the chat with the winnable opportunity matrix. It's something that we're really going to break out this year and dive into. Some capability statements, procurement readiness, as well as a 90-second challenge, because the 90-second challenge is going to show you what hits sam.gov and what doesn't. So that's a winner. So while you're here, what is the one word to describe the federal market? Pop that in the chat real quick. What's one word? We don't need a diatribe. Just tell us what you think. No words. It says Sally White. There are no words to express the federal government. Big, challenging, opportunity, relationships. Whoa, Calvin with the capital relationships. I love it. We're going to talk about how important those are, aren't we, Calvin? Complicated. Gwendolyn, complex. Diana, big. Roger, slow. Oh boy, isn't that true? Crazy, says Chad. Patrick says Byzantine. Not sure which government he's talking about. All right, disjointed. Oh, John, very positive you have there. Javier says none. He got nothing to say. Forazan. Man, if I probably butchered that, I'm sorry, but it's great. Alan says inefficient. Prasad, great opportunity. Stacy, cumbersome. Tanya, delayed. Woo. Opportunities, wasteful. Fred says. Elizabeth says prosperous. Irwin, antiquated, difficult. Dollars, Elizabeth says. Uncomprehensible. That's a new one. I'm gonna have to include that one, Tammy. Bureaucracy, selective. Whoa, Mark Allen going down the road. And Janelle says no audio. I can't help you there, Janelle, right off the bat. All right, so we're gonna end this poll. A lot of newbies here. Raphael, let me share this out. 48% are new, 15% have subcontracts, and 33% won last year. Fantastic, love that. And for those who've never been here, 58% never been here before. Believe that, Sally White?
I do, because they're all so excited to come and very exciting.
I love it, love it, love it. So we picked some of these words before, and you'll see the red ones are ones that are negative, and the green ones are ones that are positive. But if it's massive, it's negative and positive. But because it's so massive, it's hard to navigate, right? So there's some of the ones that we had coming in. Hard to get business with, right? That's another one. Bloated. That's another one that was kind of and scattered. A lot of synonyms there, right? Difficult, opportunity, obtuse. Love that one because it's hard to see into. Here's some more. Awesome. Big potential, difficult to find the right people. That's definitely true, right? So there's the ones that we have. Bureaucratic, disjointed, lazy. That one came in. I love that. I put that one in yesterday just to make sure everybody saw it. So the big one that we're going to be concentrating on is there's a lot of unknowns, right? Unknowns. They don't know you. You don't know them. It's hard to be able to work in this world. And Stuart, I think Stuart's actually here. I think Stuart wrote this down. But yeah, Stuart said technology search group say, how can small businesses break into the federal contract market? That's what we're right, Rafa, that's a big deal. That's a problem.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
That's a big deal. Javier, is that how did you say it? Is it Xavier? That's Xavier, right? Xavier, right? From APG. I have been doing business with our federal government for over 10 years and loves it. That's fantastic, Xavier. This past few years were a good year for my company, and this new year seems to be on a path to surpass last year. Any new info? This is what I love. any new info that can help me get even more business, be truly appreciated. That's fantastic. And that's exactly why we're here. You have somebody that's brand new, wants to get in, and we have folks that have been here for 10 years and they still want to know. Because guess what? Nobody knows everything except for maybe Greg Clark. He knows a lot because he's got a whole lot there. But I certainly don't know everything. But I did start ISI. What's that?
Here's
What's that?
here's one thing I know. It's under 80 degrees in Miami because Raphael's wearing a sweater.
Ah. That's how you know for sure.
That's how you know for sure.
Yeah, and I had to put on socks with my flip-flops.
Oh my. So for those of you who are new, the 53% that just came, that's what you're in for the rest of this time. I'm Dave Lowe. I started with ISI Federal back in 2009. Everything on the right-hand side, you will find under the ISI banner. Market Essentials help you get smart about the marketplace. And we have a ton of information. There's a lot of people that have benefited from that information over the years, right, Rafa?
Absolutely. All of my clients love Dave Lowe's intelligence.
They love my
before we met,
intelligence.
Even
They love
before we met.
They love my systems intelligence, not
right.
my own intelligence.
Yeah, you're a different case altogether, Dave.
But you
Right,
are,
that's right.
Dave.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm a special individual.
Special case.
So we use GovBrief to reach stakeholders. We do this for industry, and there's white paper marketing with the Fed. Actually, today at 1 o'clock, we have a superstar named some guy named Greg Clark going to join me at 1 to talk about unsolicited proposals. Second one on that list, right? So today at 1, if you're interested in that, you can check that out at govbrief.us. Just know that we love to work with industry to help them with specific issues, sole source justification, FAR, doing business with different agencies, all that kind of stuff. We love to help you with that. The other thing that we do is we use GovBrief to reach the govies. That's what we designed it for to begin with. So we push it out to program managers. It is critical for being able to communicate with program managers that you cannot find anywhere else. If you're interested in that, you can get on board. There's opening after February 15th, and it is limited. If you would like to, you can tell me. I would like to try and find out about GovBrief. Let me see where that is. Where did I do that? Who do you want to reach? So if you want to reach federal buyers and contracting officers, we have a place for you to go for that. If you want to reach program managers and project managers, that's GovBrief. If you want to reach prime contract holders, that's also GovBrief. If you want to reach prime contract holders so you can sell to them, that's also GovBrief, and some other pieces that we have. Federal employees, we can do that, and small business specialists. And if anybody wants to be, we'll talk about small business specialists in a minute. While you're answering that, I'll tell you a little bit more about ISI Federal. Sam Radar, as I mentioned before, that's a game changer. It is flipping things upside down, and we'll talk about that more later. Monitoring SAM.gov, because SAM.gov is such a spectacular program they put in for us that everybody is probably saying, I am out of my mind by saying such a thing. You're absolutely right, because that's total sarcasm. But we also monitor GSA e-buy with quick fuse only if you have a GSA contract, which we'll be talking about today. 2 things on here that only GSA contract holders can do: GSA Advantage as well as GSA e-buy. Am I right, Greg Clark?
He's saying you're right, but he's muted.
He's muted. And then we also have today, we have the good doctors in the house. I pulled this together as quick as I could, Rafa. So this guy, I've been working with, how long has it been? 4 or 5 years now? Been
Yes,
working
sir.
with you?
Yes, sir.
So, and for some reason, we get along probably because we're two totally wacky individuals. But what he does is he helps folks with contractor branding. Branding in the federal government looks just like everything you do for the commercial segment, doesn't it, Rafa?
Oh, it's absolutely different. It's absolutely different. In fact, if you get this look, when you ask someone, your marketing expert, for a capability statement, and they look at you like this, if they have that deer in the headlights look, then chances are you're in the wrong place, right? Chances are you're in the wrong place. That's why we created, Dave, just like you created a special, unique proposition. we've created a consultancy based on our years of experience with vendor management, supply chain, at the large Fortune 500 level, and also at the government level, right? And we've created this unique consultancy that offers contractors, like people on this call, how to communicate effectively and what to say, what the government wants to hear, and what to put on paper, and how to look on paper, on the web, on print, in all forms of media. That's what we are.
I
Okay.
love it, man. And folks, I just would encourage you to reach out to Rafa. We'll give you opportunities to be able to see some of that today as well, if I can find my stuff here. All right, so here's some of the other things you do: capability statements, capabilities videos, websites,
That's
briefings,
right.
and capabilities business cards. I love the fact that you did that and say capabilities business cards, because guess what? Your regular business card doesn't work in the federal space, does it, Rafa?
It does not. And you would be surprised, because your business card, Dave, should actually be a miniature version of your capability statement with the essential elements of information that government contractors, procurement personnel need, right? Should have the
Yep.
6 Ds, right? And so please note that we're calling it capabilities marketing. This is a key concept. In the federal government, you cannot oversell your capabilities. You need to sell what you're capable of delivering, right? So capabilities marketing is very, very important. That's why you need a capability statement, which is your
But I want to win the contract for launching the new space vehicle, but I don't build space vehicles, Rafa. I want to have that capability. So I want to tell the government that I want to do that. Is that the way we do?
Actually, no, that doesn't work. Because I do my due diligence, and then we find out exactly what you've been doing. Because when you look at your tax returns, we're going to corroborate what NAICS code you have on there, and then your profile on, and Sam and other things that Irene does in her due diligence. We map your abilities to what you've actually been doing. Now, if you tell me you're in construction, I know where to look, Dave. I know where to see if you have permits, if you have an OSHA record, if you have EMR, all of that stuff. You can't smoke one past us, because we've been for many, many years.
I appreciate it. And I just want to encourage folks to be looking at this market differently, especially the people that are new. This market does not operate like the commercial market. And Greg Clark is another guy that helps with proposals, because the proposals are different than if you're just doing proposals for commercial too, isn't it, Greg Clark?
Yeah, the contracting people in the federal government expect to see things in a certain way. So just like Raphael gets you looking the part as far as your capability statement and your business cards and all that, so that when you're meeting with individuals in federal agencies, you're giving them information that they need to know. So you're speaking their language, you look the part. The same thing needs to happen in your proposal, so that that when you're responding to an RFP, everything that needs to be addressed has been addressed, and it's formatted the way the evaluators are expecting, and everything is 100% compliant, so that even if you don't win the contract, the agency can look at your proposal and say, I would have no problem awarding this company a contract. You're not a known entity, but your proposal makes you now a known entity, and you've eliminated a lot of risk in their eyes because you understand how to respond to an RFP. You look the part. Yep.
And so you look the part, and you're acting the part, and you're delivering what they're asking for. Imagine that, delivering what they're asking for. And for those of you who have been in federal contracting for a while, you know that if you answer an RFP wrong, like you add additional information that they're not asking for, they're going to be like, I didn't ask for that. And then they're going to kick you out. That's the way it works. So Greg can help with that. But today you're going to be in the hot seat for question number 2. I don't even know if you saw question number 2 when you came in, but question number 2 talks about GSA schedules and the potential importance of GSA schedules and what they are. So I'm going to leave that for you in a little bit. So be ready, big man.
I'm ready.
All right. With us also, we have Sally White. She's an Uber connector, not just a connector. She's Uber connector. She does a lot of networking, LinkedIn, does a lot of opportunity teaming and working with folks at doing things at events. So tell us a little bit about you, Sally White. from
Sure,
Echo
thank you,
Wolf.
thank you, thank you. Calling from Park City. Once you've worked with Dave to sort of figure out who your personas are and who the government contractors are, et cetera, and Raphael to get your branding game on, I help you align those things with LinkedIn so that you can connect with the highest levels in government at LinkedIn, influencers and the like. It's all about relationships, relationships, relationships. So you really want to make sure that you have a great LinkedIn page, a great business page, and they're all aligned with your website, et cetera. So once you do that, I can connect you to super high level executives at those conferences. And obviously I don't know everyone, but I know how to get to those people. So I can sort of help you get there and then help you with some technology aspects and making sure that your conference ROI is good, that you're doing pre-conference planning, you have a fabulous booth, and super happy to be here. And I can just give a shout out to all these individuals. My Echo Wolf customers have worked with each individual and they're very, very excited and happy with each person here.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And we also have Peter Timbus. Peter. I
Peter.
always want to use a British accent every time it says Peter, just from the movie Hook. Anyway, Peter Timbus helps folks with funding. And we're not just talking about bank type of funding, because banks don't understand government, do they, Peter Timbus?
No, they do not. They're going to lend to your financial statements. I think what makes us different is that we're going to lend to your opportunity. So whether it's a small opportunity or a big opportunity, do not shy away from it, because we're going to give you the financial resources that you're going to need to grow your business. Most of the clients we deal with have said to us, where were you 5 years ago? Where were you 2 years
And where
ago?
were you 5 years ago, Peter?
Well, I've been doing this for 32 years. And evidently we didn't have the opportunity to connect with that specific client. But I think we've got a lot of experience in this business, and in the alternative lending field, there's nobody that's better than us. And the biggest thing that we provide also, in addition to financing, is that once you utilize the services of this ISI group, getting prepared and ready to do business with the federal government and be proactive and identify those opportunities through SAM.radar, we're going to give you the fuel. These guys Dave's group is going to put you on the launching pad. Once you're on the launching pad, we're going to give you the fuel to take off.
There we go.
And we really understand this business.
I love it. And then great job. And one of the things you do is you give a financial, what is it called?
Letter of
Support letter.
financial support. So in the bidding process, if the government says, well, you're in the best and final, that we're looking at you to potentially give you the contract, but do you have the financial resources to perform on the contract if awarded? We will provide the backup that you're going to need to give to the federal government to say, we're going to be there. We have the resources to perform on this contract.
Love it. And that's before you win. So definitely reach out to
Right.
Peter. He can help with the financial side. And we have a rookie, not a rookie in the business, but a rookie here. It's her first time here is Irene Morales, everybody. Yay.
Irene.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah,
It's
Irene.
an absolute pleasure
So-
to be here.
Irene has no idea what she's in for by joining this group. I'm just saying, Irene, stand by. But tell us a little bit about GPS. I love the term GPS already. Love it.
Thank you. So I guess since this is my first time here, I figured I start with who I am, who we are. We're a woman, minority-owned, family-operated small business. We're also the sister company of Raphael Moreau and Company. I was actually his senior analyst, and I trained under his expertise. I am a member of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners and will be getting my actual license very soon. I'm also a former paralegal and, most importantly, a federal law enforcement officer for the Department of Justice, where
Wait
I
a
learned
minute.
how-
You didn't tell me that, Rafa. We got somebody that's going to crack down on us now.
Oh,
I am no longer there.
An auditor and from the law, brought the law in.
I brought the
Okay.
genius lady in.
I'm no longer with the Department of Justice, but
Okay, that's okay then.
I did carry with me everything that I learned there. There, I also familiarized myself with the procurement process from the inside. So from people that actually accept your proposals and things like that. Actually, during COVID, we all had to be tested weekly. And the same tests you'd find at Walmart for $20, those little Binax boxes, were actually being sold to the Department of Justice for $180 a box.
Yeah, because
So-
that makes sense, Irene.
It makes sense because the government can overcharge for anything. People will overpay anyone in the government because it's taxpayer money. So,
That's right. So,
sign the
and
check.
that's, well, first of all, welcome aboard. We look forward to hearing from you throughout this as well. I do want to get cooking for everybody. Welcome though, Irene, and
Thank you.
we'll include you. Brian Hebel's not going to be here today because he's a loser. No, just kidding. He's with acquisitionhelp.com. He is also from the inside. So between you and Brian, Irene, you guys have seen things from the inside, which is great because it can help people to understand how to navigate. Because I don't care what you think. People that were on the inside don't think like people from the outside. No offense, Irene.
None taken. It's true.
All right. So with that, what we're going to be talking about today is the importance of being shortlisted. That's the first question of the day that we want for the panel. So hot seat question number 1. What do buyers need for my company to be one of the 5 on their short list? So what are some of the things that we've got to help folks out with? And you guys can pop in with the Q&A if you want to answer this question. What are shortlisted businesses? Great question. The anonymous attendee just asked a question. So the shortlisted business, great. It looks just like this. So you see the top, if you just look at that, 44% of all the dollars that happened in Q1, and this happens across the board, Q1 were to one single company, 44%. And if you look at the number of contracts, let me see if I can do this without causing it. This right here, can you guys see this? The 50, so 67% of the quantity of the contracts. So 44% of the dollars, 67%, 2/3 of these 420,000 contracts that were awarded in Q1 only had one offer received. And then the rest of these, if you take a look, if I could do this, all these right here are the 5, 1 of 5. That's why we say shortlisted is 1 of 5. Everybody got that as far as the concept? Anonymous attendee who arrived late. We don't even know who you are, but that's okay.
That's
We'll
2
still
strikes,
answer your
Dave.
question. What's
That's
that?
2 strikes. I said that's 2 strikes.
That's 2
Anonymous
strikes.
and late.
That's right.
Yeah.
Late and didn't know the answer. So, but seriously, what do you do anything on Seaport NXG? Great question, Dalfa. We may talk about that in just a minute, but the hot seat question right now is, what do buyers need for these folks to become one of the 5? Can somebody throw one at? What's one thing that they need to do in order to become one of the 5? Anybody?
Brand themselves accordingly.
Brand. They need to look like they belong. We're gonna talk about that branding piece in a minute. What else do they need to do?
Get to
Have
know the customer.
certification.
What's that? Certifications may be important, right? They could be, because if you're an 8A, they can get the 1, right? Why is that, Irene? 'Cause
Well,
8A
certified firms get set-aside contracts, about 3 to 5% of set-aside contracts for 8A certified firms. If you're a minority-owned business,
there you go. And you can be sole sourced for 8A. Give me something else. Greg Clark, you got anything?
Past performance.
Past performance.
Sorry, Greg.
You need to have the ability to do it. Greg changed his voice.
Sorry.
Get to know the customer.
Get to know the customer. How do you get to know the customer, Greg Clark?
You call Dave Lowe.
Oh, jeez, man. You are correct. You are absolutely correct. But besides that, how do you get to know the customer? What's one of the things we need? If we want to know the customer, what's one thing we need?
You got
I
to
don't know
call
where
them,
you're going
got
with
to
this.
their name.
You got to know who they are.
Exactly.
If you don't know who they are, it's really, really hard to call them, right? Right, Rafa? But definitely call them. You can call them. You can send them an email, right? What else can you do, Sally White?
Set up a meeting.
You set up a meeting? Sally White, what do you do for a living?
So I basically make sure I'm connected on LinkedIn.
Connect on
However, I
LinkedIn.
don't know their names unless I look through Sam Radar or some other form of intelligence, or and that's really important to do.
Yep. So let's while we're thinking about that, does anybody else want to pop in from the audience wants to talk about it? There's a bunch of chat. Jay Talbot says Sam Radar. I love you, Jay. You're awesome, man. Appreciated that. So if we're going to be engaging with federal stakeholders, right? Let's talk about who these are. There's 4 primaries: contracting officers and specialists. These are the people that do the contracts, right? We have the program officers and project managers. They're the people that are responsible for doing the job. And the contracting officer representatives, they kind of build the bridge between program and the contracting officer. And then you have the senior management, all the way from the presidential appointees in the senior executive services, GS-15s, and the top level people that are in the bureaucrats. Somebody said it on the way in, bureaucratic. Yes, it is. It's bureaucratic, it's government. So that's that. So you have so if you take a look, you have the politicals up top, you have the senior executives, and then it divides into program and procurement. And what looks like this: these folks on the left, they care about getting the job done. That's their job. They want to get the job done. On the right-hand side, they care about getting the contract done. And it's amazing if you just think about the difference of your pitch within this framework. Think about what you should be talking to the folks in procurement versus the people in the program. But we'll talk about that a little bit more, and we certainly are diving into that in the Monday roundtables, which Jay was on yesterday because he's a member of Sam Radar. So there you go. So you have a need from the program side. They throw it over the fence. And if you go to your session handouts, this is the winnable opportunity matrix. This also lines up as the PM, project manager, program manager. This person throws it over the fence to the contracting officer. Why? Why do they throw it over the fence? Why does program throw it over the fence, Rafael Marrero, to the contracting officer? Because
they can't buy. They have to.
They can't buy.
They can't buy. Yeah.
They can't buy anything.
Right.
Even if they wanted to, they can't buy it, can they?
Nope.
Even if they want to say, I want to buy from Rafael Marrero because he's the bee's knees. I can't buy, if I'm a program manager, from Rafael Marrero or you or anybody else. That's why
they can feed the specs to the contracting officer and say, this is what I'm looking for. Right?
This is what I'm looking for. And that's exactly what they do. They say, this is what I'm looking for. And they may restrict that to certain people. But when that happens, they create an opportunity. This is what we call the opportunity, because the program has a need. The contracting officer has a contract that's funded, because if it ain't funded, it ain't real, right? Right, Greg Clark?
That's exactly right.
So on the hot seat, we'll talk about that for just a minute. We talked about the importance in this particular piece. This is the importance of a relationship, because I don't care what anybody says, people still buy from people they know, like, and trust. Am I right, Rafa?
That's right. All day
long. So if we're not in the relationship building business, then we're not going to be selling a whole lot to the federal government. You can develop relationships by doing an RFP, right? Right, Greg Clark?
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely, 100%, because you're responding to people that have the need. And what happens if you don't win, Greg? You just pack up and go home, and you don't try ever again, right, Greg?
You get a debriefing, and then you set up a meeting to go over the debriefing with contracting and try to eliminate whatever risk they saw in you.
Ooh.
And maybe it was simply coming down to that your price wasn't as low, and it was going to be a price buy the whole way.
It could be. It could be a price buy. I know they used the price situation with what Irene said. The $20 turned into $180. That it was all about price there. It's not all about price. Here, for everybody, I don't care what you're selling. If price is an issue, the value is not clear. If we build our value to whoever we're going to, then the price will be reduced as a risk issue. But if we're, to your point, that's one thing about contracting, is they are risk averse. Are they not, Greg?
They're very risk averse, and if
They're
you're an
very
unknown entity, then everybody is like that. If you don't know somebody, you don't want to spend money with them.
Yep.
You know, you're afraid that it might not go well.
But Greg, I really, really, really want that contract. I can do it. I can really do it. So
Convince them before the solicitation comes out. So set up a meeting and tell them all the things you can do to help make their lives easier.
Yep. Awesome.
Am I the only one that can't wait to find out what Department of Justice did to that company that was price gouging them?
Absolutely nothing. That was
They-
Abbott Laboratories, and they're still with them.
So see, just when you thought that you could have some faith, Greg, they just let you down again. No, I'm just kidding. But the problem was supply and demand, was it not? Right? And if
Absolutely. At the time, they were the lead in COVID tests, so.
that's exactly right. And then you have the contract. Way easier to continue with somebody that you already know, like, and trust, even if they're charging you what, 6 times as much, right? 6x. So, you know, that's why it continues. And ladies and gentlemen, if we are not in the business of building relationships to start disrupting that pattern by getting into the green, you're going to keep losing. We're going to keep losing. If we are not injecting ourselves into the conversation, we will continue to lose. And for those of you that are brand new into this might be a little bit of an overload, probably is. Sorry. But as far as sales goes, it's the same thing. You need to inject yourself into the conversation. And if you're not injected, you are going to be rejected. That sounds like a sermon. If you're not injected, you'll be rejected. There you go.
Get injected or be rejected. I love that.
There you go. Somebody's
Great
got to
try.
write that down for me. That's a Dave Lowe quote
Someone
that's
did.
got to go out. All right. So that's not the second question. The second question, that's the first question. So what are any questions for what we have for that? Anybody got any questions about how to do, because there's a lot of that. Relationship building is the key. Javier, you are absolutely right. And Prasad says, can the recorded webinar be sent? It will be sent after. It'll probably be a few days because we repackage it to make it look nice.
You know, Dave,
It'll be a
adding
few
to what
days.
you just said, in this day and age in digital, it is much easier to develop relationships with people we don't know than it used to be. LinkedIn, different social media platforms. I'm sure all of us get many, many invitations to conferences, and you can go on the conference and see who's speaking, see who's going to be there, and say, hey, I see you're speaking at NAVC, or I see you're speaking at this conference. Looking forward to hearing you. And they usually 100% always connect on LinkedIn. So it's a really great way to build relationships.
That's exactly right. At least you got to get injected, right?
Yeah.
You got to start to get yourself injected or you're going to be rejected. All right. So Delpha said, do you have anything on Seaport NXG? Seaport NXG is an IDIQ, right? Right, Greg?
Correct. Yeah, it's through the Navy.
Through the Navy.
And the last time they did an on-ramp, as far as I know, is 2021. And I haven't heard of another on-ramp, meaning that it's going to be open to new applicants again. I haven't heard that coming up.
So for those of you, an IDIQ is an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract, which means that there aren't any dollars that are associated per se, but it restricts the competition. So if you're not on Seaport NXG and the Navy uses Seaport NXG a lot more than they use Seaport E, I'll say. The answer is yes. We have done things with Seaport. We have done things with every contract vehicle that's out there. So the answer is yes, Dalpha. It still revolves around relationships, and it revolves around, if you're on Seaport NXG, to be able to say, here is Seaport NXG, I'm on that, and that resonates. Who does that resonate with? Ladies, anybody want to answer that? Not on the panel. This goes out today. If you have Seaport NXG or a GSA contract, who does that resonate with in the government decision makers? Anybody want to tell me? Anyone? Bueller? All right. Who did? That's right. That's right. So the answer is the buyer. The buyer cares about the contract vehicle. The program manager doesn't care about your contract vehicle. They may ask you, how do I get to you? Then you can say Seaport NXG, GSA contract. We're going to be talking about GSA contracts in just a minute, because where is I actually have to go back to this other question so I can do this for the questions, because I didn't have the questions right and I put them out. All right, hold on a second.
And while he's doing that, please ask your questions in the chat.
Or
There's
or in the
Q&A.
Q&A.
In the
Do it in the
Q&A,
Q&A.
sorry, in the Q&A, not in the chat, because there's 134 people and we may get questions lost if they're in the chat.
I guarantee you, guarantee it. Here we go. So we, here's the question for number 2. You're on the hot seat. Greg Clark, why are you on the hot seat? Greg Clark for GSA. What is a GSA contract? Why am I asking you this question?
That's a lot of questions. So a GSA contract is a contract vehicle. Did I lose you?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm scrolling through this. I didn't realize I was scrolling through for everybody to see.
Okay, so a
Not
GSA
all-
schedule contract. GSA schedule is a contract vehicle that
won't let me-
I think
won't
it's
let me do it.
about. I think
Stop
it's
the share.
about 20,000 companies that have GSA schedule contracts, meaning they have a contract vehicle.
It's
And a
actually
vehicle
15,000.
It means that an agency can then buy from you because you have a contract. If you don't have a contract, then you have to win a contract. So if you're on the schedule, then any civilian and military agency can buy directly from you. And they purchase from the companies that are on the schedule to the tune of about 40 billion a year. And that's all products and services. And it's, again, civilian and military agencies. So when you're approved, you apply and you get approved for a period of 5 years with 3 5-year options. And at the end of 20 years, you reapply.
And so is there a difference between products and services for getting on schedule, or how does that work?
There are differences. If you sell products that you don't manufacture, then you have to produce a letter of supply from your source, which says essentially that they will provide you with an uninterrupted supply, which means as long as they have it, you can buy it from them and sell it to the government. So some sources are easy to are fine giving that to you. Other people are not cooperative in providing that. So if you're a manufacturer, you eliminate that aspect. And products are purchased through GSA Advantage, the way that the rest of us purchase at Amazon. The government agency will go to Advantage, put in the product they're looking for, find all the vendors that are on the schedule that have it, and then price shop, pick the quantity, pay with a credit card, and they're done.
And GSA Advantage works just like Amazon. It's so smooth and easy, isn't it?
Well, fortunately, I don't have to use it.
But the buyers do. And that's
buyers
one
do.
of the reasons why we actually encourage marketing directly to GSA Advantage so that they don't have to do the work. Nobody likes to do the work. Contracting officers do have a lot of work to do. So I highly recommend, if you have a GSA contract, market to that. How long you have to be in business in order to get a GSA contract, Greg?
Well, the rule is 2 years, but there's a loophole that you can get in under 2 years through the startup springboard, which was initially only available to IT companies, but is now schedule wide. You can apply.
Really?
And instead of just the company past performance and the company financials, you can use the information of predecessor companies and key personnel. If you don't have anything as a company, I wouldn't go that route unless you're a JV and maybe you're the two entities that are forming the JV are on the schedule already. We're doing that scenario with a couple of JVs right now.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that the loophole now applies, as I knew it was IT, right? That's how it started, right?
It's how it started, right? Because the government wants emerging technology and all these new companies that are doing these amazing things. They didn't want to wait to get that stuff. They said, let's just get on now. So that's available to you, but the scenario has to be right in order to consider that. I would still wait until you are more established. And the question, I get a lot of people calling me and saying, I want to get on the GSA schedule because I hear that the government buys $40 billion a year from the people on there. And I say, all right, well, where are your sales going to come from? Who's going to buy from you? And if you don't know that, then you shouldn't be. The first thing that you do right now is not get on the schedule. It should be finding out who your customers are going to be and start talking to them, and almost make them force you to get on the schedule, because you make a breakthrough with them and you talk about all the things that you have that you can do for them that's going to make their lives easier and support their agencies, and they get it. The light goes off. How do I buy from you? Well, are you on the schedule? No, well, get on the schedule so I can buy from you. Then come back to me and say, yeah, we have sales waiting for us. We're losing money by not being on the schedule.
I love that model. And then if you are pursuing that, right? So it goes back to relationships, right? You're talking with somebody and they're
Mhm.
saying, hey, this is how I want to buy from you. Then if you give yourself a problem, like somebody wants to buy from you off of GSA, because if you do have that problem, you come here or you reach out to Greg, you reach out to Rafa, Sally, me, anybody that's here, because we will figure somebody that has a GSA already so they can buy from you, right?
Let me
So
let me highlight why I say, you know, that I ask you where your sale is going to come from, because you're required to generate $25,000 in your first 2 years, and then through your just scheduled contract and sales, and then 25,000 per year thereafter. And if you don't, you can lose your contract. And
You
as we
will.
know, the vast majority of companies get on the schedule and never make a dollar.
That's exactly right.
So that's why, you know, that's why my first question is where your sale is going to come from, because you don't be one of the part of the statistics of people that go through this exercise of applying and getting evaluated and getting approved and never making a dollar. You need to find out who your customers are going to be, talk to them, talk to them about what you do, and develop some interest. And then that interest hopefully will lead to them saying, how do I buy from you? And you can say, well, I'm in the process of getting on the schedule right now. And you can buy from me that way.
And in the meantime, I'll just say that in discussions that I've had, I will ask the question of the procurement person, because sometimes, believe it or not, they may use that as a blow off. If you don't have your GSA contract, do you have a GSA contract, right? No. Then, you know, when you do, come back to me. Well, I want to flip that around and say, I got, so I can do one of two things. I can come back to you, but I can actually run it through one of my people that I have, or if you have a recommendation of a small business that you really like doing business with, I'll be glad to team up with them. Now you put it into the contracting officer's court to say, hey, I'd buy from you. If you can get me the ability to buy off of GSA, you're throwing that BS flag on them without saying BS, right? You're saying, hey, what if, you know, I'll be glad. I got partners that I can run it through. What do you prefer? Small business, service disabled, hub zone, and Irene can throw in on this, but you know people with those socioeconomic certs, you can ask that question too. You can say, hey, where would you prefer any particular socioeconomic category, Mr. Miss Buyer? The next thing you know, you're having that conversation, which is really what you want, right, Irene? You want to have that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. For example, you know, like any contracts with the VA, the Department of Defense, they obviously have top pick for companies that are veteran-owned, small business certified. It's their own people. So each one will have a preference, and then depending also on the services they're looking for and the kind of quota to fill, depending on the agency, for which minority or which woman-owned or whatever they need to hire.
And buyer's the one that care about that. Program managers couldn't care less about that. Just saying. All right. So from Shelly, we got questions. You can pop them in the Q&A if you would. I've been doing business with GSA, eBuy, and Gov for over 10 years, but still have a hard time with all contracting officers and their response. Imagine that. Sorry about that, Shelly. When I ask if it is brand name or we can quote a brand name or equal or better. So what Shelly's saying is she's got a product and they're saying OEM, original equipment manufacturer, right? And then they're saying it's brand name. Now here's the key, Shelly. Normally I charge for this, but this is killer. If there is no justification and approval with that solicitation, you can provide the brand. You can do the equal or better. You just have to supply the specs for it. That's how you can go around that. If it has a J&A on it, don't even bother talking to the contracting officer. If it doesn't have a J&A, don't talk to them either. Just supply the bid and then make them, that's protestable, by the way. So there you go, Shelly. That one's for free. All right. I did answer that live. All right, so that's for everybody. God almighty, I don't know how to get rid of those. All right. Can I get Sam Radar as a free trial to get to know if it's different from sam.gov? Prasad?
Softball.
Boom, boom, bing, 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 bing. Absolutely. samradar.com. If you don't see that it's different than sam.gov in 7 days, I don't even trust me. It is totally different in the approach and also the support functionality. Just absolutely go to samradar.com and sign up.
It's in the
That's how you
chat.
do
Put it in the
that?
chat.
Put it in the chat. All right, so
What
let's
makes
see.
you better than FedBid and sam.gov?
And somebody, an anonymous attendee, can you send me your email, please, for Sally? They want to talk to you, Sally. I don't know why they want to talk to you, Sally, but
Can't imagine.
there you go. All right.
Hey, it's anonymous. Shh, it's
All right.
classified.
You're welcome, Javier. What's the
think
story with Oasis Plus? You got Dalfa. Dalfa, you need to be talking to Greg. Absolutely, positively talk to Greg because he knows about those things. But Oasis is another IDIQ,
It's coming
right?
up. Yeah, it's another GSA.
It's a big one.
Yeah, professional services types of things, business consulting, that kind of stuff, engineering. And it's in draft mode right now. So this is a good time to read up on it and see how you score. There's a self-scoring worksheet in the package, and it tells you what your score has to be. If you're over this number, you're in. If you're below it, you're out. So you can do all that work now, find out if it's for you. And if you don't have the points, you can build your team to get the points.
And very important what you just said, Greg. Team building is critical.
Yep.
When you're in this world talking about these big things, you can't compete as a small business. You need to be part of a team.
Send me an email,
Preston.
Delphi.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Can you talk about ghosting strategy for RFQs? Preston, I would love to talk with you about that, but not today. That's a good strategy.
That's a good one.
I like it. We won't talk about that today, though. We'll bring that up on Monday roundtables, though. That's one of those Monday roundtable ones. Chad, what does it mean by getting on schedule? Greg, what does that mean, getting on schedule? Greg is typing the answer for you.
It means that you apply and you're approved, and now you have a GSA scheduled contract, which guarantees you no sales, but it gives you a contract vehicle that you can utilize to build sales. And I'm going to give you my email address so we can pick it up after the show.
There we go. And Shelly comes back, capital UG even. How about 60%? We still only buy the brand name the end user is used to instead of a different unit that could be better fit for what they're doing now. Shelly, you're absolutely right. So your approach, you need to build a relationship with the contracting officer, because if it's a commoditized purchase, they're the ones that care. Your program people don't care. I'll use toner cartridges. No more commoditized product than toner cartridges. Build your value with the buyer with the purchasing mechanism, engage them. It's not easy. If anybody told you the federal government is easy, I'll use a hitch line. They're lying to you. You hear me? Lying to you.
We would all be out of business.
That's right. You wouldn't need, if the government actually did their job right, we would be selling things, and we would probably be doing something else, right? Right, Greg?
Working for them.
That's right. All right. So are there commercial contracts on samradar.com? Latasha, I'm not sure how to say that, Latasha. Commercial contracts on SamRadar, there are two different segments, and we'll talk about it in a minute. There's two different sides. You have the federal buyer and you have the prime. So if you want to sell to the prime, you can absolutely sell to the prime. The prime is going to be just like any other organization, right, Rafa? They will buy stuff. Just the government buys stuff, the prime buys stuff. So we'll talk about that. I think that's a good question. You got something there, Rafa?
No, I said that's right. I mean, they have their own set of rules, their procurement departments. They're going to have vendor managers. I happen to know a thing or two about that and the way that works. So hit me up and I'll give you a free consultation on how to get through that door.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to get to the last hot seat question. There's a couple other questions. We'll do our best to get back to it. But the hot seat question today is, what step can I take to get in the front door so I can sell my company and our product to the federal government? This kind of aligns with the first one, which is actually in your wheelhouse, Dr. Marrero.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
So the
So-
first thing you need to go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Tell us
Oh.
what you're thinking.
No, I'm thinking that the first thing you need to do to get your foot in the door is to not just look the part. You have to effectively communicate what you do, your capabilities, right? This isn't about fake it till you make it. No, you have to show what you're made up of, right? Show your goods, show that you've got the right stuff to sell your proposition to the government. So it's really important to have the right contractor branding and public relations, the capability statement that captures the 6 C's, briefings, right? Capabilities briefings in a PowerPoint deck. A capabilities video is a great and memorable way to do that in under 2 minutes. A website that reflects accurately who you are, the right services, and that's mapped to what they're looking for, and capabilities business cards. Very, very important.
So, and I know that's what you do. So let's talk about, what are you going to say? Because we're talking about engagement, right? We want to build relationships.
Right.
You're going to use, now, is anybody going to hire you because you have a good capability statement?
No, but chances are it's going to open up a door for you. You have to consider a good capability statement, like a good resume, right?
Yep.
It can get you the interview, right? Once you get to the interview, you can't fall flat on your face, right? You can't wear a tuxedo like those 2 guys in Step Brothers, right? You can't do that. You need to bring the goods. You need to bring the fire, right? And so you've got to have your items all well documented and convince them that you are a good fit for their procurement specification, what they're looking for, what problem you're going to solve, what need you're going to provide or help with, right? That's very important. And most of all, don't embellish, don't oversell it, right? So that's why we've been successful. We understand vendor risk management. We understand supply chain. We understand how to manage vendors and how to prepare them for the large supply chains in the private sector and in government, because that's what I've done for a living.
Yep. So here's a question for everybody. This is hot seat number 3. I forgot to launch the other ones, but I like this one particularly. What step can you take? I'm registered on SAM.gov, so they will find me. If anybody clicks that, don't click that, because that's not going to happen. So you can research buyers. You can do networking events. Those are all things. Present my solution to program managers. I don't know. That's why I'm here. And then the question is, if I can get in front of federal decision makers, what would happen to you? So will you need to change your shorts? Are you not good at presenting? Are you not good at delivering the message? This is all falls into how we can engage, right? We want to be able to engage. And then maybe you need some help delivering that message. You need some help knowing what they're thinking. The folks that have been here for years in this industry, we're still learning, aren't we? We're still learning on some new things that they're thinking about. The way they have a new methodology for doing the procurement. They have a new process internally in their agency that you had never worked in before. We see this happen all the time. Nobody knows everything. So what we want to do is we want to understand. And that's one of the things. Need some help learning how they work. You need help delivering your message. Or can we advance? Some of the folks are really good at being able to advance a sale or close a sale. In this world, you're going to be advancing the sale. From the time you start building a relationship, it doesn't start with walking up to them and said, Rafa, I want a contract right now. I'm a service disabled rep. I deserve it. They're not going to give you jack, are they, Rafa?
Absolutely not.
They're not.
Yeah.
So we need to build a relationship. We need to say, hey, what's most important to you, Rafa? Why would you want to purchase from me? And how would you purchase what I have? And that's why a great capability statement can help you get to where you want to go, because it clearly defines what you do well. And it is 15 pages long, right, Rafa?
Nope, it cannot be. In fact, it should be one sheet of paper, preferably one-sided, one face, and then double-sided if you've got a lot of past performance and you want to turn the back page into your past performance and map it to those projects per agency or per client, right? It should never, ever exceed 1 megabyte, and it should always have the same naming convention in PDF format. Your company name .capability statement.pdf should always be under 1 megabyte.
Yep. And all of these things are things that you won't know until you start doing these things and having dialogue. Because if all of a sudden it's over 1 meg and it gets bounced or doesn't get read, that doesn't help you. Right, Rafa?
That's that's going to be a problem. I mean, if it bounces, so I've seen people with beautiful looking capability statements, but there were 30 pages. That was actually like a capabilities briefing. And the deck was actually longer than a capabilities briefing should be, because we follow the 12-15 rule, Dave. 12 slides, 15 minutes, right? That's a communications rule. And you keep it simple, right? KISS simple. 1 duck and 1 bunny per slide. You're not talking to rocket scientists. You're talking to people that have a long list of requirements, right? And you want to communicate your needs right away.
I couldn't agree more. And just use SAM.gov as an example of how short they want it to be. How long is the capabilities narrative in SAM.gov, Rafa?
255 characters, including punctuation, Dave.
Including punctuation.
That's right.
That is not a lot of ability. You got to be really concise, right? So, and that's really where we want to go. If we have a couple of other questions, we'll get to them in just a minute. I want to make sure we get people out because we're a little bit over. And we do have hot seat question number 1. There's 29 of 103 that have answered. 30 just answered. So we'll leave that open for another second. If you want to reach out to Dr. Rafael Marrero, highly encourage it. If you're not absolutely positive that you are a rock star with your capability statement, you need to reach out to Rafa and just start with the capabilities. You can talk about your PR and all your branding and all the rest of the stuff if you want. But the rest of this, start with the capability statement. That is a vast majority of what you're going to be using, and then augment it with your briefings and making sure that you look like you belong. And how do they get in touch with you, Rafael Marrero? I think it says right here.
Yes, so you can call the office, 888-595-6221, which is the main line. Or if you'd like to speak to me directly, guess what? I'm including my direct line. It's 726-723-6031. And that right there is my email address. You can, I promise that if you contact us, we will respond within the same day. And if you want a 15-minute free video consultation,
Free,
no charge,
Free?
no consultation, no charge.
Amazing.
We will give you a free capabilities briefing, assessment of your capabilities. We'll determine, we'll do our checklist and determine if you're ready to do business with Uncle Sam or not. That's very important. We'll tell you what the areas, opportunities for improvement are and the corrective actions, and we can help you with those if you like.
Awesome. So I will open this up for one more poll of what you need, just in case we missed something. Hold it. Stop sharing. Hold on. Hang on. I had it here. Here we go. All right. So, because this will give us an idea how we can help you. There's nothing wrong with starting small, right, folks? Nothing wrong. But you got to be doing it right, no matter what you're doing. So real quick, coming up today at 1 p.m., what are we doing, Greg Clark?
Unsolicited proposals.
Unsolicited proposals. Did you know what an unsolicited proposal is? That means it is not solicited. It actually is not a solicitation. We'll be looking at solicitations in just a minute with Sam Radar. If you have any more questions, pop them in here. We'll do our best to answer them real quick before we jump off. If you want to reach out to Greg, proposal writing, GSA schedule, good stuff on GSA schedules today, Greg, and good information on the other stuff.
Thank you.
And I look forward to working with you in just a few minutes. We also have Irene in the house, so you can reach out to Irene. Welcome aboard. It's great to meet you.
Likewise.
And hopefully we didn't go too nuts. And I gotta go all the way back to the beginning of these slides so that I can get I gotta get the information for Peter Timbus. Hang on, guys. I'm sorry. These slides,
You'll get there.
whoever did these slides, they just need.
I'll also put his
Serious
information
help.
in the chat.
There's Sally White. If you need to reach out to Sally White, always appreciate your insight, Sally, and what you do to help with networking, live events too. You help with live events, and do that. And Peter Timbus with the lending. There ain't nobody that don't need more money, right? Right, Peter?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Peter will do a free consultation as well. He's kind of humble, but he actually worked with this gentleman who's now worth $13 billion in the organization. And he brought him from a very small organization like ours to a $13 billion organization. So Peter has a lot to share on financial ways to grow your business.
Yep, he certainly does. So what's happening? We just finished Q1. It is time to build relationships. That's what it's all about. Manage your expectations. If anything, anybody's here, we weren't blowing any sunshine, right, Greg? We said, hey, if you really need to know what you're doing before you get into this, right?
100%.
100%. Stalk the winners, get proactive. What do you mean by stalk winners? Stick around, I'll show you. Get proactive, be persistent and persevere. Do not let the naysayers say you can't do it. Just do it the right way and everything is going to be, you will absolutely be able to win. All right, so what do we want to do? You have 263 days to disrupt what has been happening and answer the question of why they should let you in. And you have 263 days for this fiscal year. They're spending $1.7 trillion. They barely put a dent into that in the first quarter. That means 263 days, there's going to be 1.68 billion that's going to drop. 1 trillion. I'm sorry. That's 1,700 billion.
Wow.
So there you go.
1.7 trillion. So Dave, what you're saying, if I'm reading this right, is that this is going to be a factor of 3x over what the government typically spends in a fiscal year, right?
Yep.
And typically spend about 550 to 600 billion, right? And this is going to be 1.7 trillion. That's a whole lot of cheese. Right?
That's a lot of cheese.
Right.
That's a lot of cheese. It's a lot of cheddar.
And
I didn't even realize I left Uncle Sam with the suit, with the Santa hat on upstairs.
I know. It's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh my gosh, there you go. Shows you, you know why? Because I am in the Keys. That's why that happened.
Right.
We will be looking. Hold on 1 second. I want to get some questions here real quick, and then we're going to talk about Sam Radar in 2 minutes. If you want to stick around, we will be talking about Sam Radar. I'll give you some examples of that. We worked with it. Here is David Clarkson says, we worked with an expensive company 7 years ago to get GSA certified. It went through several different contractors and once got the final stage, we were rejected because the code we originally told we needed to apply for was incorrect. This was a bad experience. So we moved on and had
this was into there was 2 posts and I answered the second post. So that's all covered.
Got it. I often see bid opportunities that have insurance requirements. Do I need it? Well, this is good. Do I have to have the active insurance coverage before I spend time apparently on an RFQ or submitting a bid? Great question. What's the answer to that?
Well, yeah, well, you're going to ask your insurance company to provide you with the rates.
And then,
but you don't have to have the policy.
You need the certificate of insurance though, to say that you either have a policy, but you may not have to buy that particular insurance, right?
You should always have a certificate of insurance when you're in business, Dave, whether or not you're bidding or not. You need to protect yourself from risk. And if you don't have insurance, you're setting yourself up for a liability.
And that liability
you may need general insurance as well as air and emissions,
Yep.
And or bonding. Performance bonding is another one. So we can take that offline as well. As a new company participating in a mentor protege agreement, fantastic. What's the best way to mention market leverage that agreement in response to an RFP? If it's an active RFP, you talk to Greg. If you want to create an RFP and leverage that and market it, you talk to me. Does that sound good? Anonymous, whoever you are. This person is all right. So Jaziel, is there a way to recover our contracts at State Department that was immediately seized during the U.S. withdrawal of Afghanistan? Woo, this is a lawyer question. Jazeel, you want to get in touch with me? I'll get you in touch with Jason Moy. He'll help you answer that.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
a legal question. That's
above my pay grade.
We do not give legal advice here. That's very important.
So for another anonymous, first of all, anonymous, you have to be non-anonymous before you can state your professional experience in a company's capability statement. That is your capabilities. Your professional experience is your capabilities. Now, past performance, you're going to have to say, you have to deal with that. Definitely talk to Rafa about that. So that answers those. We may get to some of the chats in a minute. Dalfa, you're awesome. Appreciate that. Anybody that wants to stick around for seeing Sam Radar, I'm going to pop on that in just a minute. And you're going to see how that
Nail
works.
biter. It's a nail biter. I'm in.
I'll stay.
You're going to stay? All right. I'm going
I'm gonna leave.
I got
What's
my
that?
little
Thanks,
espresso. Look at
Peter.
this.
So, Peter, you're going to be a loser and leave? Is that what I heard?
I gotta leave, but you know what I gotta say to you, Dave?
What's that?
Be injected or get rejected.
Be injected or get
Hey, Dave,
rejected.
somebody wants a poster. So there's a lot of
That's-
stuff in the chat that didn't get responded to because we're just busy, but someone wants a poster, Dave. Get injected or be rejected.
I love it. I love it. So we'll create the poster.
Yeah, we will.
All
Irene's got a good one.
right.
She's got a good tagline. Wait till you hear it.
All right. So what's the tagline?
We'll get you registered, certified, funded, and branded, and we won't leave you stranded.
Nice.
The newbie comes in with fire. That's fantastic. I love it.
I have another. Get Sam Radar before you go too far.
Right.
So there you go. So I'm going to be sharing out now. I'm going to show you what Sam Radar looks at. First of all, before we even look at
I'm
it,
jumping off so I can be ready for 1 o'clock.
all right, you be that way. All right, man.
Take care.
Good to see you. Greg, thank you, sir. Peter, thank you. I'm only giving you a hard time. All right, fantastic. So hopefully it was beneficial for everybody. What we're diving into is samradar.com. Now, first things first, I'm gonna pop over this and see if I can. Can I do this? Yes, I can. The one thing I want you to do, everybody. Oh man, I got this annotation on, and I'm working a little sideways here. All right, so I'm gonna open this up. I'm gonna go to. We're already on Zoom, so I'm gonna go to samradar.com, and I'm gonna send you here. And from here, you're gonna go to this menu, right? And you're gonna hover over the menu, scroll down, and go to the resources, for which all this is free. You can go through here, but you're gonna scroll down through all these magnanimous resources that you have. And you're going to look for January 2023 NAICS spending report. And this is going to give you all of the pieces that we just talked about. So you can do your own research to start, but let me ask you, everybody here, do you get paid for doing research? Does anybody here get paid for doing research, or do you get paid for selling something? That's my question. Because I'm going to tell you to stop doing research, and because you don't get paid for research, right? Now, if I could just figure out I'm going to get out of there, but you want to download that NAICS. It has NAICS and additional information. But what we're going to be talking about today is Sam Radar. Sam Radar is developed to build relationships. This is actually an award that you're looking at right here. I got a couple that I'm going to flag for right here. Here's one right here for $25,001 which is just over what should be posted on sam.gov, right? But here's a couple things I want you to see. First of all, 25,001. When was it awarded? It was awarded on the 4th of January, right? That was pretty recent. And it was who was it to? It's to Jan.10th Plant Science Center. Ever heard of that? No idea. And take a look at this right here. Number of offers received. Doesn't say. I wonder why it doesn't say how many offers are received. Probably because they already have a relationship. Who has a relationship? We'll take a look at the relationship. Donald has a relationship with who? Joshua. And Joshua has a relationship with Donald. How do you know? Because Joshua is spending $25,000 with Donald Danforth. So let me ask somebody a question. What would you like to do with this? What are two things that you can do right this minute that if you had the opportunity, who would want to reach out to the buyer or who would want to reach out to the prime? So go ahead and put it in the chat. Who wants to reach out to the buyer and who wants to reach out to the prime? Because if we want to reach out to any one of these guys, right? So there's two potential things. You may want to team with the prime, right? In which case you want to reach out to these guys. Or you probably want to drive a wedge between Donald and Joshua by reaching out to Joshua. Here's a phone number and here's an email address. One thing that you can do today is reach out to that buyer. Jay Talbot wants to reach out to the prime. Jay Talbot sells something very specialized that is almost always going to be on this side because he does very specialized IT components and programming. So that's why he wants to reach out to the prime. Guess what you can do right here from this email without having to log into any system, including sam.gov. You just click this and ba-bing. Oh, I want this to open up. You can contact the buyer just by clicking this button. I can't because I'm on my laptop and I have neglected to set this up beforehand. So here's another award down here. This one happens to be for over $1 million, $1,125,000 and change. And we notice that this is a very large prime, right, Jay Talbot? We know who Booz Allen Hamilton is, don't we? So
Yep.
we would want to reach out to the prime, in which case you can do this right from here and in this you have to log into Sam Radar because we probably have a bunch of prime contacts right here. And we're just don't want to load up on your email. So you may be asking yourself a question. Why does it show up in email? It shows up in email because that's where you live. And that's also where your buyers live and everybody else lives. They also do live on LinkedIn, but most of the time what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using this as an actionable piece of intelligence. We know that this buyer is buying in our space. We're monitoring the NAICS code. We're monitoring the PSC, or we're monitoring a keyword that is relevant to you, right? So we want to be able to monitor and see this. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find my mouse. It's running around here. There it is. I want to scroll down to this one. That's the one for there. I'll talk about that in a minute. Oh, I did want to point one more thing out before I go into the opportunities, because there's two different types. We're actually looking at an award. Why are we looking at awards? Well, I'll tell you why we're looking at awards, because 98% are going to hit on sam.gov. You're saying, liar, liar, pants on fire, Dave. I'm saying I can guarantee you that over the past 10 years in the research we've done, 98% don't hit sam.gov. They happen, and you can see it happening all the time because of this line right here. The number of offers received is 1. That's exactly what we talked about when we started this particular webinar. And guess what? This buyer has a relationship with Booz Allen and Hamilton. And what you can get from this buyer is multifaceted. You may be able to inject yourself into the conversation with the buyer, or you can get a referral to Booz Allen Hamilton. You know for a fact, Nari Freeman knows the program manager for Booz Allen and Hamilton. Very little risk for you to ask Nari to say, hey, Nari, can you tell me who it is with Booz Allen Hamilton you're working with? Both aspects of this is all building relationships. You want to build relationships with the buyer. You want to build a relationship with the prime. And Sam Radar is how you can do this, because you're not a professional researcher. You do professional IT services or do something, whatever you're selling. You're not selling research. You're certainly not selling federal research, because that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for 15 years. And yes, I was doing the research so I could sell something, but you don't get paid for that. Shed whatever you don't get paid for, whether it's research or anything else, and make sure that you are using resources that can help you get rid of all that. And here's what shows up for us, because we're not only are we looking at awards, we also want to look at opportunities, especially when it's something like sources sought over here, right? We want to be paying attention to sources sought in our NAICS codes, in our PSEs, with our keywords. We have the ability to do this and know right away with a competitive advantage. So as soon as it hits on sam.gov, it delivers it to your inbox. Why do we do that? Because that's where you live, and you can act from here. And guess what you can do just by clicking this button? It takes you right to sam.gov, and guess what I didn't have to do? I didn't have to do that dual factor authentication that we love so much, and having to pull out our cell phones to log into sam.gov just because we want to see something and see if we want to bid. All the information is right here. It's actually already on your Sam Radar and sam.bid notification. This happens to be a sources sought. Then what if we want to have solicitations? Well, there's a solicitation. It tells you exactly everything. And guess what? It shows up in your inbox within seconds of it showing up on sam.gov. Don't you think sam.gov should do that for you? I think they should too, but they don't. Instead, they send this cockamamie little doodah thing. Hang on, if I could actually find this. I'm operating on my, this is sam.bid. Let's see what we got. This is from sam.gov. Oh, it's not in here. My apologies. Hasn't synced up with everything on my inbox yet. So, but if you're monitoring, you have something saved, you know what it looks like. It's just this little tidbit that says something hit. So this happens to be a solicitation. What about this, Irene? How about this? Is a total small business set aside? Or maybe if we scroll down a little bit more, where's the other ones? I thought we had some that were set aside for other peeps. Let's see what we got. Total small business set aside. Let's see if there's any others. Here's opportunity that landed recently. It's a solicitation. But the most important thing that you want to do is you want to be able to know quickly and be able to discern quickly whether you want to bid or no bid. You don't get paid for not bidding, right? You only get paid if you win a bid. So you need to be able to spend your time bidding and working on bids. So this is what's important. I don't know that I have any more to show you right this minute, because this is my inbox. But if you have any questions about this, sign up for Sam Radar. You can go there at samradar.com, and I'll go back over to here and I'll show you what you got. You can go sign up for samradar.com, 7 days for free. I promise you that this price is changing at the end of the month. We extended it through the end of this month, and you can lock in your price. It's a month to month. If you don't like it, you can get rid of it. You don't want to get rid of it, because when you come back, it's not going to be this price. It is blowing up. It is changing the game. So I highly encourage you try it out. You'll try out to see if it's, I know there was somebody asking how it compares to sam.gov. You will know within minutes, but you have 7 days on that. Anybody else? Somebody asking a question?
Dave, it's like the difference between a Soviet Lada and a Ferrari. Seriously, wait till if you've ever driven a Russian car. Fortunate circumstance of driving a Moscovich or a Lada, and then you drive an American-made or any other type of car, you're going to see the difference.
It's right. You can already see it right here, because you don't see anything like this from sam.gov. And this is on the opportunity side. And sam.gov doesn't do anything for you for the awards, to show you the awards. And you might say, well, why, Dave, are you showing me awards? You're telling me I'm a loser. Well, guess what? You lost, and you didn't even know you can't win anything you can't see. How can you win something you don't see? You have got to build the relationship. And what we do is we give you the relationship, actionable items with relationships that you can log. You could just reach out. Here's another one. Number of offers received, 1 for 777,000. Here's one that hit sam.gov. How do you know? Because it has 9 respondents. That's how you know. Here's one, $0. What are you talking about, $0? That's probably a blanket purchase agreement with this person. Don't you want to talk to Kelly and get a blanket purchase agreement of your own? All of these happen because Sam Radar is learning about you, and then you can act. The one thing you want to do, act. Reach out to Kelly. Send her an email. Send her your capability statement. Let her know what's happening. You want to get to Kelly and say, hey, Kelly, I want to play. I can't play if I don't see it. And if you only put it out where only one person can see it, how am I supposed to win? I can't. That's the benefit. Try it. It's different. It's different than anything you've ever used or anything you've ever seen. It drives the behavior and action behavior. And go reach out and talk to the buyer directly. Don't go to the small business liaison. They don't have decision-making authority and they don't have budget. Don't go there. Go here. Go around everybody else. Go right to one of the key decision makers, the buyer. Start your conversation. Let them know that you want to play. And also reach out to the prime so that you can team with that prime, so you can sub to that prime. The money's just as green. Reach out to those folks and do that. So I'm going to let everybody get out of here because I got to prep for the same thing that our boy Greg had to prep for. Let me see if there's any other questions in there. Do you recommend signing up for Sam Radar, getting all of your ducks in a row to sell to the government? Chad, you want to do both. It isn't an either or. You want to get your ducks in a row and you want to get on Sam Radar. The fact of the matter is, you need to be dialoguing with people. There's no wrong time to start dialoguing with people. If they say, hey, send me over your capability statement, and you don't have it quite done with the good doctor over there, tell them, hey, it's on its way. It's being revamped right now, and I want it to look like stellar. So I'll send it to you as soon as I have it. That gives you another touch with the buyer. Say, I finally got that capability statement redone. What do you think, Kelly? And now you're engaging the buyer again. Don't wait a second. You only have, what did I say, 263 days in this fiscal year. These people are going to be spending boatloads of money. So Chad, you don't have to wait. I answered that one live. All right. So I'm part of a small business who's just getting in the government space. That's fine, Chad. It's perfect. This is great to dialogue with somebody. I'm telling you, nobody else is going to tell you about dialoguing directly with the buyer. This is what you want to be doing. There you go, Preston. All right, templates for reaching out. Gabriel, yes, you will get templates for reaching out. It'll start with a very simple template. In the first 7 days, you'll get a template and you'll get a script. You get both in the first 7 days. Make sure you ask your federal advisor. They'll help you with the setup because we're not just going to drop this on you. It's different than anything you've ever seen. So it's going to take a little bit of learning. Just like if you're going to train an employee, you got to train this system about you. So you're going to give it some time. But I'm telling you, if you don't have 100 leads in 100 days that you're talking, where you're reaching out and talking to these people, then something's not right with the setup of your Sam Radar. So we need to make sure it's tightened up. So we'll help you do that. Gabriel, great question, by the way. Love that. You'll have templates. And will Sam Radar help me if I've a green card and not a U.S. citizen yet? I own a small IT business. That's a great question. Rafa, what happens with green card people?
Well, as long as you're a legal permanent resident, right? Lawful, the term is LPR, lawful permanent resident. You're a green card holder. You can qualify for several federal contracting programs, such as the DOT programs, the DBE. You can also do business with Uncle Sam if you're a legal permanent, lawful permanent resident, a green card holder, or if you're a foreign entity and you wish to do business with the United States government, there's also ways to do that legally. And for more information on that, you should reach out to our expert, Irene, who will help you get your paperwork in order.
Absolutely. Thank
There
you.
you go. And then Dalfa asked the question, there's a dialogue there. The last one was awarded, I think, Dalfa has Seaport, NXG, and GSA, but haven't been able to utilize either one. So there's 2 contract vehicles that Dalfa has, because the real thing that has to happen, Dalfa, for everybody that's new, listen to what Dalf is saying. Took the time to get 2 contract vehicles, and they don't have any sales on either one because Kelly doesn't know about Dalfa. But Ezra knows Kelly, and Kelly knows Ezra. This is where Dalfa, your job, get in front of these people and start driving a competitive wedge, especially with the Navy, obviously, right? Within nobody outside the Navy cares about Seaport, but Navy cares about Seaport, and the Navy also buys off of GSA. So both of those, being able to reach out and be able to position yourself with them. That's your job. Number 1 job, build relationships with people. Don't ask for the business like right away. Build the relationships. I'm telling you, I don't even know Irene, but I know for a fact that Irene is not just going to buy from you from Department of Justice when she was in contracting. If you just walked in and said, "Hey, Irene, I want a contract." Where in the world does that happen? It just doesn't, right, Irene?
No, it doesn't. I mean,
So-
you can have unless you have a very convincing argument and a very nice first impression.
Oh, even then, are you married, Irene?
Not yet, May 6th.
May 6th. Now, so your fiance, the first time that he met you, walked up to you and said, "Let's get married tonight, Irene," didn't he? Is that what he said?
Close, 6 months later.
6 months later. Yeah, close. 6 months later. That's my point, is that it's just like that. We're not going to walk up to Kelly DeShields here and say, "Hey, Kelly, give us a contract." You're awarding it to Ezra. We're better than Ezra. I'm buffer than your fiance, Irene. I'm buffer than this other guy. Where did you meet your fiance, Irene?
So he's actually a sheriff's deputy. We met in the field.
You met in the field. Oh man, all kind
Yeah,
of
well-
HR issues with that. I
Yeah.
can't even go there.
No supervisor subordinate, none of that.
Gotcha. So, but there you go. So, well, I just want to make sure everybody sees the one thing that we're going to do with Sam Radar. We're going to coach you through the process. If you're brand new, we're going to coach you through the process. You will be selling to the government, right? If you're using samradar.com, because I'm not going to let you sell to them wrong. And you're going to come to the Monday roundtables included. The most exclusive thing that we're going to have from here on out. 2023 is going to change. We just changed the Monday roundtables. What is that? That is what we do every Monday at 10 and 2. We get together and we talk about what's important, and we give action items, and we learn from each other. We're all on the journey together, and you have hundreds and hundreds of Sam Radar users that are going to be there too in different times. You can come when you want to, but I think we had like 20 the first at 10 a.m. and we had 23 at the 2 p.m. So you have all these people that are on the same journey to help you get to where you want to go. It is different than anything you've ever seen. Try it, and just start the process of reaching out to the government folks and do it right. And you will find that it will work for you. It's going to take time. I mean, Jiminy Christmas took 6 months for Irene's fiance to propose, crying out loud. It's going to take time for people to engage with you. Manage your expectations. But if you're doing it the right way, good things are going to happen. Right, Rafa? Good things happen when you do the right things the right way.
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
if you and like I say, if you want to reach out, reach out. I think we got to all the questions here. Preston got everybody. All right, we're gonna let everybody get out of here. Thanks for joining us. Preston, you never got your templates. Well, for crying out loud, Preston. We'll get your templates. Not from here. That's not coming from here. You got to sign up for Sam Radar. If you're not a Sam Radar user, you don't get it. Sorry, bet your luck.
No tiki, no washi. Yeah.
That's right, man. We do have standards. We got standards, Preston. All right, so we'll get you out of here. We'll make sure if you have any other questions, reach out to the folks that you met here. Thanks, Rafa. Great to meet you, Irene. Sally White,
Thank you.
always a pleasure. And let's see, we got 2 Irenes here. One Irene looks a whole lot like Christina.
And one Dave Lowe looks a whole lot like the other Dave Lowe.
That's true, but that's my teleprompter. That's why. But nobody else sees that.
Nice
So,
job, everybody.
It's
So-
actually
so-
Christy on the other line.
It's Christy. That's
Yeah.
what I thought it was. I forgot it's not Christine. It's Christy. All right. And Zachary is impersonating me. That is my oldest
Right.
son, by the way, for Sam
It's a
Radar.
real
So there you
Dave
go.
Lowe. Step up.
That's right. All right, guys, we're gonna let you go. If you, and if you're interested in unsolicited proposals, we're gonna start that in 25 minutes.
Yay.
I gotta go. See ya.